everyone. So we have officially started. I am Nupur. I'm managing this room. We have 3 participants, and our expert, Anne-Marie Melster, is going to be talking to us about her project We Are Oceans today. And she is the co-founder and executive director of Artport Making Waves, and with a background in art history and political sciences and an MA in Hispanic sciences. So, Anne-Marie, handing this over to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for this brief introduction, Pur, and welcome and hello to my conversation partners today. Thank you to Shazeb and to the Mind of Nature for inviting me to be part of this new form of an international symposium. I hope it's going to run well. I hope it's going to be interesting. I mean, the last 9 or 10 months, we already had or made a lot of experiences with those new online formats. Yes, so thank you. Yes, Artport Making Waves, that's my baby since 2005. We started quite early with bringing together art, sciences, climate change, environmental protection, ocean protection, and education. And I think we were one of the 2 or 3 first ones working really with the arts at this intersection. It was really inspiring, but very challenging at the beginning, obviously, because nobody in the arts really talked about those topics. And we worked together with the United Nations, governments, museums, schools, universities, etc. You can all look that up all on our website. We did a diversity of projects all over the world. And in 2018, I said after 13 years of mainly sensitizing through the arts towards environmental protection, I said we have to go one step further right now. Now it's not about talking anymore. It's not about raising awareness. It's not about sensitization anymore. We are further. A lot of people know now about what is going on worldwide, and not only in countries like in the European countries or in the US, but also in countries like India, which is more for me a continent than only a country. And we said we have to do more in education and really creating action. And empowering young people was dear to my heart always. And I know that young people, they are very reactive in regards to contemporary art. And we always work more on a hybrid level, on a much more like interdisciplinary level. We always included scientists, we always included educators and people who are not artists or curators, because that's actually something which is enriching the conversation. And we can all learn from each other. It's like, I don't want to teach people, I want to learn as well from everybody. And this project came to my heart because, and to my mind, obviously, because I always wanted to work on the topic of ocean and ocean protection, because the ocean, the sea was always very close to me physically, but also mentally and emotionally. And so I started brainstorming. I started to talk with a lot of people I know in the field of ocean protection, be it TBA 21 Academy, they just had opened the new space last year, Ocean Space in Venice, be it IOC UNESCO and scientific partners in Germany and elsewhere. And within a very short amount of time, I was able to gather a huge group of collaborators and partners and sponsors. And because everybody liked this topic to bring, I was not the first one, obviously there were other ones before, but to bring really artists very close to curators, to scientists like ocean scientists and UNESCO representatives and people from different spheres. And it came together nicely, and we started it already as a chain of projects. We started in Berlin and Brandenburg, which is a country around Berlin. The next stop was Marseille, which we did. Well, Berlin, Germany, we did last year. Marseille, we did this year. Despite of the Corona pandemic, we were able to just use 1 month, which was more liberal, which was the month of September, to do our project in Marseille in southern France. We started with Vancouver now. We are producing it in 2 phases. The first one is a virtual one, which we are just starting with our artists in Vancouver and many schools there. The next phase will be physical, hopefully next year in spring, summer in Vancouver. And we will start in the same way as well with Venice. We postponed Venice several times because of Corona. And now we are starting in December with a fishbowl discussion virtually, and also workshops, like virtual school workshops, which will then transform into something physical next year, and many more stops to come. And for us, the word youth empowerment is not only a word. It's like really we want to create action for ocean protection, and the kids themselves, they become their actors. I'm just trying to share the screen right now with, well, I'm trying to share the screen, but
I've given you access now, Anne-Marie.
I will, yeah, I'm just Microsoft PowerPoint. That's what I'm doing. But yes, open system preferences. Just a second, I hope it's going to work, that I will have access to my document. Kind of sitting here on on Zoom. If it doesn't work, then I can share the images with you later. Can you see something or not?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. Okay, I will just have some patience with me.
Yeah, of course, take your time, please. We also have another person who's entered the room, so you have a little bit of time to share your screen.
Yeah. Well, I tried it earlier and it worked, but here it doesn't let me share the screen. Well, I think in order to keep it a little bit fluent, I will do that maybe later when one of you is speaking, or maybe I'm going to files and folders, screen recording. No, I don't want screen recording. So we started in Berlin with an interdisciplinary workshop where we invited marine biology, or a biologist, a scientist from the IASS Potsdam, which is a big institution and a big research institute in Germany, to speak about.
Anne, could you try now?
I'm trying out, yes, but somehow it doesn't let me access to my files, which I opened already.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't let me access to my Word files, which is bizarre. It worked before. I don't know.
Would you like to email them to me? I could share it from my side.
Yeah, but I think this PowerPoint is too big. We should have done that before.
Okay.
That's. I'm sorry for that. Well, anyway, we have a lot of images on our website as well, and the video as well. I'm just going to explain like 2 minutes more, and then you can maybe share your questions with me. So we produced a workshop where we invited a scientist and the artist Lisa Rabe. She is a German artist, and the workshop also included a video workshop where the kids were actually becoming part. They were the actors of their own film, and they came up with their own ideas. Of course, the artist Lisa Rabe, she prepared and we did a workshop, but the kids were able to act as well. So we gave a real voice to them. And what we produced then, it's a 25 minutes video, artistic video, but it was rather reflecting their thoughts, the thoughts of the young people, and how they were imagining themselves in a future world, and their worries as well. And it's not a documentation of the workshop, but it's really something artistic and creative. You can watch it online as well. I can share the links with you. It's really interesting what came out of that. And the next step was Marseille. And we invited the kids to be participants in Berlin, in conferences, in scientific conferences. We did a big event also at a museum where they could perform, where they were part of a fishbowl discussion. So they were really able to express their thoughts, and even though they didn't have this ocean protection knowledge background before, but through the workshop they got sensitized, they opened up their mind, and they really expressed themselves, and that's important to give them an active voice. in Marseille, we worked with, these were in Berlin, it was teenagers between 13 and 17. And in Marseille, we worked with younger ones between 7 and 9 years. And they were doing a literature workshop. So they were transforming themselves into sea animals, into sea creatures, and they wrote something, and they were designing, they were drawing, they were becoming really creative. We are going to produce publications out of the outcomes, obviously. And now in Vancouver, we are including indigenous knowledge as well with our artists Cis Wiz and Olivier Salva. And in Italy, in Venice, we are working with a group, a collective called Barrena Bianca. They are putting together a workshop with local school children as well. So our goal is really to create action, and not only creating words or talk about something, but really make them feel their power. What can they really contribute? We don't move the responsibility to create ocean protection to the kids, but because it's still our responsibility, because we created this mess. I'm talking about we when I talk about adults. It's not the kids who created that mess, but the kids, they can obviously make it better. So that's our point of departure. And I think within this 1 year, we have been able to achieve already something. And we talk with a lot more stakeholders now than we did 15 years ago. So maybe this only as a trigger to start our conversation. Maybe you already have questions. Alonso is there as well. Hey, Alonso. Oh, he's on mute. Alonso, you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Anna Marie. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Morning. Can you put on your camera as well, Alonso, because I cannot see you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you give me 1 sec, because I have to put it out. I mean, the studio is a mess.
Anne-Marie, if you press desktop after pressing screen share, Shazib says that you should be able to share your screen.
What?
Yes, I'm ready. I think, well.
Yes, this is a good angle.
It's a bit dark. Oh, there is this light.
Yeah, that's better.
I can sit here. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, I am Susanna on the dark.
Yeah, I'm in the studio right now, and my computer has the battery broken, so I cannot move now. But maybe I can switch on the lights.
Oh, no, that's totally fine, Alonso. We can see you. And the studio is nice. Yeah.
Yes,
Don't
nice.
worry.
Yeah, it's just like in the basement of an old house, and well, I painted a bit, but here is where I'm working most of the time lately.
That's good. I'm just trying to figure out where, because I cannot, I see when I want to share my screen, I see the Word and the QuickTime player, but I don't see the PowerPoint. So if Shazab has an idea regarding that.
Do you see an option that says desktop? Because after you click on screen share, he says you should see an option that says desktop.
Yes, okay. I will click on that.
Yeah,
so,
you can see it now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ah, okay, good. So that's, I will move through it quickly. I'm just collecting, I just collected some images. That was Oskar Schmidt, the scientist from IIS Potsdam, in the first workshop. That is Julia Moritz, our co-curator for the project, during the workshop in one of the schools in Brandenburg. I'm just quickly clicking through it so that you get a visual idea. So that was in plain summer, obviously. They worked inside and outside. They were recording things. Those kids were not part of the film production, but this was already, that's the second group of pupils we worked with also in Brandenburg in a different school. That's Lisa Rave, the artist working with the young people. So we had this first part, which was content related, where kids learned about the ocean, but also about their questions they had. What do they feel when they think about sea or ocean? What comes to their mind. That was, I think, no, that was the first group still. So you see, we worked with a blue screen in the background, where the artist was able later on to, in the film production, to produce images onto the screen. These were the questions or the topics which they raised, obviously in German, but they were talking about many things already. Ocean is life, ocean is obviously fish, ocean provides resources, ocean is algae, tsunami, fun, blue, shipping, meduse, how do you say that, jellyfish. So they already had, and this is the blue screen, so they were acting in front of the blue screen, and sometimes weather forecast, they were inventing the weather forecast for in 50 years. Your internet connection is unstable, so this might be mine. Can you still see me and hear me? I hope so. I will just go through it quickly so that you can...
What did they do acting in front of the blue screen? We missed that.
So they were acting and we were recording the film. They were acting and inventing also what they were talking about. Those two young guys, for example, they invented the weather forecast for in 50 years. So they were talking about the weather in northern Germany, which was mainly flooded now because of the rising temperatures, and the North Sea and the Baltic Sea are now actually one sea only because the rising sea levels had flooded the land, and they were inventing temperatures, and it was really funny. It was very spontaneous as well. And those two, they did like a performance with well, this is with colors, because when you use a blue screen and you paint your skin in the same color, then during the film you cannot see this part of the face anymore, or this part of the skin. So we were playing also with the tech using the blue screen technology. They were talking, those two guys, they were talking about a solution for climate change, which would be diminishing the world population. It was really crazy, the ideas they had. You have to watch the film. It's really, it was for us very surprising how creative they were. So that was all Germany. I will just go down. We had even a comic person who did a We Are Ocean comic for us. And this is already Marseille, where the kids did like this literature workshop. So you see, they were really small, and they were acting, they were performing, they were drawing, they were transforming into sea creatures, and they were really identifying themselves with different sea creatures. And sometimes we met them at the beach when we went for swimming in the evening after the workshops, and they were talking about what kind of fish they had seen underwater. It was really great. Also, the parents told us that they were thinking in a different way after that workshop. And that was like the group picture at the end. We did a panel discussion on the beach. You see people gathered. It was supposed to be bad weather. People came anyway. And we had scientists on board. We had the director of an art institution from the area. There we had invited Mark Johnson, the artist for Marseille. We commissioned for each stop, we commissioned a specific artist. The same we want to do in Mumbai as well. We can talk about this later maybe. And yeah, that's in general. These were our numerous partners here, only for the German part. So you see, we brought a lot of people together, and yeah, I would like to hand over now to my fellows here in the conversation. Maybe you have questions already or any statements. I will try now
I have a question.
Why don't you go ahead?
I will stop sharing. So.
Yes, it's more or less an observation and less of a question. I always kind of struggle and wonder, oceans have been part of great civilizations. They have connected civilizations. A lot of migrations have happened through oceans, and a lot of trade has been happening through centuries, and I sometimes wonder why in these 5 decades that ocean has been so much polluted. So I wonder, why hasn't it happened in history, and why is it happening only in the past few decades. And I also understand because of our consumerism and industrialization, but I wanted to know your comment on this. Have you, in terms of historically, oceans had a different uh, perspective, and they were seen in a different way. In fact, they were celebrated because they were bridges for connections. And now we don't see, I guess, oceans in that way. And why is that so? It's
Well, I'm rather a curator than a political person or policymaker or a marine biologist. So my answer right now can only be like in a certain way and maybe also very personal. But I think the problem regarding the pollution of the ocean and the seas has only become very imminent right now. It was not the case 50 years ago. It is exactly what we created in the last 20 years specifically. It has become like absolutely exaggerated what we are doing to the ocean. And I think it's also about the communication. Maybe we had already specific ocean troubles 25 years ago, even though not as terrible as today, but due to globalization and also due to the internet, due to communication, we now are able to know everything, well, not everything, because there are still like secretive databases and archives where we don't have access to, but we have access to much more knowledge and information than 20 years ago. I grew up without the internet, and only in the last 10 years, what happened with the internet is just crazy. Maybe some of the younger ones among us, they don't remember a time without internet, but I can tell you it has really changed our way of getting informed. So, of course, the ocean was always a connecting tool between people all over the world, but I think through traffic lately and through abusing the ocean also as a source of, or as a resource, a source of resources, you cannot say that, but you know what I mean, that we are exploiting the ocean today much more than 10 years ago. I think there was really a shift, I think. I don't know if that answers your question a little bit.
No, of course. I mean, I just wanted to know more about the historical part of there's not much evidence what's happened in the history, and if the oceans were so much polluted in that way, because they also have a cycle of refreshing and producing oxygens and other things. But that's true that we are damaging the oceans in a great way than our ancestors did.
I would presume burgeoning populations also. I mean, in the last 100 years, we have seen the number of people increase. We've seen the increase in use of plastics as well.
Yeah.
And these different things have grown without being synchronous with each other. So their effect is, I suppose, not really understood. Could be one of the reasons.
But nevertheless, I think this is a topic which we cannot discuss in a satisfying way. But I think it's clear what is happening today. It's not what was happening 50 years ago with the ocean is definitely not what is happening today. Only the ocean as a sink for CO2 and the acidification of the ocean. This didn't happen even not 10 years ago. But, there is Insa joining us from Germany as well. Insa, you have to unmute if you would like to be part. Hello. And maybe you have an image as well, or a camera. And Alonso, I know that Alonso is working a lot on ocean protection. Well, you have to tell us maybe later on, but specifically, hello Insa, with sounds on the ocean. You have been doing big projects around the ocean as well. And I think what is the topic of our room today is really how can we make our art or our thoughts and our education available for younger people so that we can protect the ocean better. And I think that's the main goal. What is art in here? Is art something mere visual where we create more entertainment for more masses? I'm just asking this question in a provocative way. Or do we create something meaningful by getting on board scientists who really have something to say, but who until now maybe didn't have this access to the bigger civil society, because it's also like a silo they are working in, exactly like we as curators and artists, we are also working somehow in a silo. And my idea was really to merge those silos and to open up those silos and make understandable scientific ideas through the arts, together with the artists, for bigger population sounds weird, but at least for the young population. Because young people, they know that the ocean is out there, even if they are not living on the ocean. But they don't know anything about ocean acidification. They don't know anything about which creatures are dying right now. They don't know anything about, for example, whale hunting in 1910 and what that has produced and how this is part of globalization and all of this. These are so topics which are so huge, but through artistic projects like this, you can really make it understandable. And maybe, Alonso, you have a question or a statement for that.
Yeah, well, I have mostly questions more than statements. But yeah, for me, actually, like, well, I've been living in different cities, mostly European, and I was studying arts. But you know, like during my studies and just BA and master studies, I was kind of struggling with the networks that I found in the cities, you know, and I was always trying to. I was kind of not fitting, and I was struggling to make exhibitions or do stuff, but it was not always the same. It was not always the case, since I was really privileged to have these opportunities and to enjoy exhibitions or meet really interesting and nice people around who really helped me also to understand better what contemporary art could mean. That actually, I don't know, but since 2 years ago, a bit longer now, almost 3 years, I kind of quit with my jobs. I was working in a gallery in Madrid after coming back from Netherlands, where I was living for around 10 years. And then I went back because my family wanted to sell a house my grandparents had in the beach, which was built by my father. And, you know, talking to a friend of mine from Netherlands, was like, hey man, I have to go to check this house because they want to sell it. And when he came with me, so we came back to the house, which is in the shore, in between Portugal and Spain. It's just at the border, nearby the border, in a little town that is called Bayona Nigran, is the area. So we went there. The house was kind of like in ruins. But after do some research about like the property and prices and stuff of the house, I decided to quit the selling of the house, which my family was really in a hurry to do. And I decided to start living here and quit my city jobs. And kind of, I was already tired about, for example, Madrid and the network there. It was just like really personal. But then I came here and I started to live here. And after some months talking to my closer friends, we decided to start with a project that is called Oceanic Sound Art. And we started like to do really simple things, like just walk on the beach and make some walks every day and observe what we didn't know living in the cities. And actually what Anne-Marie said is for me really evident now after living here 2 years or more, because every day I find like loads of trash washed on the shores. Not only trash, but it's like all kinds of things you cannot imagine. It's like we even found like a bathtub that was fossilized on the shore, and it's kind of like a rock now. And you know, there is lichens and many animals that they attach to it, which brings many questions to me also. I can put an example of a work of an artist who I really like. His name is Miquel R. Nieto, and I really like his work. I know him personally also, and was really an inspiration for me. So he did a field recording in the airport of Barcelona, recording some frogs, which are nearby the airport in a supposedly natural park next to the Delta del Ebro. It's like a marismas of the, is some kind of, I don't know how you call it in English, but it's delta, you know, a delta from a river, one of the most important rivers in Spain, in Catalonia. And he did these recordings about frogs which are mating, and they are continuously communicating, you know, like really the sound is really even really unaffordable if you stay there. So you can hear this recording with the frogs like singing, and then suddenly at the middle of the recording, is long recording, you can hear an airplane like landing in El Prat, which is, you know, a plane, the noise that a plane makes is really...
I don't want to interrupt you. We only have
No, please.
I just wanted to try to summarize what you are telling right now, because what you're doing is amazing, actually. I've been following oceanic sound art for some time now. Mm-hmm. You did also a project with TVA 21 and Carl Michael von Hauswolf. What I want to stress here is that your work and your what you are seeing, what you are contemplating and observing, you're putting that together in sound pieces, and you show this all over the world. And I think this showing it all over the world with using collaborations to spread the word about your work is really important, because people suddenly, they get aware, or they get an access to things which are always surrounding us, because sometimes it's only about this. People, they don't realize anymore what is going on around, because everybody is always focused on the cell phone or onto the internet, onto TV, onto consumption, and we don't realize what's happening around us anymore. And
I mean, escaping this, what I was saying, the point for me to talk about this artwork is because I have a question myself that is based also in a really important book for me, although I'm really critical with it, that is Ecology Without Nature, by Timothy Morton. And basically, resuming really fast, you know, is like, and referring also to the questions of Samir, who did now, is like, I have question of, as well as the frogs of us, we feel like the world is in really big trouble through these problems of pollution. Not only trash, but also sound, which is for me my favorite material, although I'm not working like constantly with it, because for me it's a lot about listening and be quiet and listen alone, like what I hear in the environment, you know, and this tells me a lot.
What is your question?
The question is like this Timothy Morton resuming, or at least is what I understood. It's like one of my questions is like, what if the world, just like as a machine, or the universe, or whatever you want to say, is like the frogs are fine when the plane is passing by. They don't shut, you know? They survive because they adapt and they find their way. So for me, it's kind of like the same. I see all of trash, but for me, you know, like I was living, I think, as well as many of you probably, like these moral kicks of, no, you cannot consume plastic, no, you cannot consume this, no, we have to be good, morally good, and this ethics and stuff. But at the same time, I'm questioning, like, maybe the universe is just meant to be like this, and we should just adapt and don't kick ourselves all the time. But this is one of the questions. But relating to what Anne-Marie was saying about the art, for me, art is not is the answer to communicate my feelings, which are really abstract and sometimes even for myself really confused, you know, because these kind of questions.
This can be also a good inspiration for other people. So I think art is this. You express, as an artist, you express what you are seeing, what you are reflecting on, and you share that. So maybe we can give the voice to one of the other participants in this conversation. I don't know if anybody of you, because we only have 3 minutes left until they are going to cut our conversation. So who is there around who has another question maybe? I think you have to unmute yourself. There are some people who are still muted. I don't know. I see Kai, but I don't see an image. I see Ek Mudassar. I don't see an image anymore. Susanna doesn't have image.
I don't have a question as such, but something to add on from what Samir was talking about. What is the sudden shock? Like, one thing that struck me while we guys were talking about is while the traveling, and you know what we normally expect, the travel, the sea to be used for fishing, that's something that's been happening for forever. But what has been drastic in the past 20 years, some two things if I have to point out would be the very thing that we are all hooked on to, internet cables around the ocean, and the cloud servers that are dunked in the ocean for cooling. I think these two things that are very directly connected to technology, these two things that have come in the past 20-30 years, which have amplified over on top of the travel, transport, the way we looked at ocean. So somewhere from what you were talking about, like ocean, we had this relationship, like it was like a bridge for us to take here and there. But now it's become more like we're using it also like a warehouse, dunking our servers to cool it off, and all that is something extra that just something to bring it, share it on.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I think it's here. Our conversation room is not about making political statements, of course, or scientific statements. It's really about what can art do in this specific sphere, in this specific field. Can we really contribute to ocean protection through creating empowerment of use or not? And this is what I wanted to trigger in this conversation. And we will open up the conversation soon towards other viewers and listeners right now. So maybe there's going to be, Nupur, you are going to moderate that if there are more questions on behalf of the audience. I think, of course, we cannot solve all the problems in the world right now, but in the art field, or in our hybrid art field, we at least try to contribute something meaningful, and trying to get people, experts and stakeholders from different fields together, really collaborate, not only in an interdisciplinary way, but really multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary, where we are really learning from each other and transferring this knowledge, but also this inspiration to younger people to empower them. For us, really, empowerment is really, really important. It's not only we teach you and we come here as the big educators and you have to learn this, you have to learn that by heart, and then you are going to be a better citizen. No, it's about giving them, really making them feel powerful and making them act. And because we only have been reacting in the last years, we have become perfect consumers. We are consuming all the time, but are we really changing something? No, we protest. Okay, that's all we can do. But apart from that, what can we do with our art projects? That's really my question, which I always want to trigger. So maybe, Nupur, you want to open the discussion to the audience, and maybe there are already questions which you find interesting.
Yeah, I thank each and every one of you for being here, and I request that you leave the room now. And I will be getting the audience questions in from Shazid, and Anne-Marie and I will be staying in this room, and I will pose the questions to her. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again. Thank you to all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Very interesting.
Thank you. Okay, Anne-Marie, just give me a minute. I'm just hearing back from Shazid. Right. So he sent me 3 questions, which they've vetted. So the first one is, what does success mean when you're working with the younger generation for climate change, as it's a very long-term initiative? What are the markers for success when you are working with the younger generation?
Yeah, there are two different approaches. One approach is the more technical, bureaucratic, and administrative one, which is doing an evaluation with a real evaluation program concept, where we ask all the different participants, the younger people, the teachers, the artists, everybody who was on board of this project, and they give us their opinion. There we also calculate the numbers, how many people participated, what was the reflection within the media, so did we get any media response. Today this has become like a very volatile tool, because you know how media work functions today. It's not the same as 10 years ago. So that's one approach. Because we need to do that also for the sponsors and for the funders and the partners. The other approach is the mere emotional and mental outcome. Mental is maybe not the right word, but the outcome of each workshop and each project we do together with the kids. Well, kids, the juniors, the teenagers, the young participants. And there it's very, very obvious when you see how those young people react. In Berlin, for example, it was very interesting to see a lot of them, they said, I'm not creative. I have no idea. I don't know what to do. I don't know nothing about the ocean. I don't know how to draw. I'm stupid. I'm dumb. My parents tell me all the time I'm not intelligent. And you sit there in front of kids who are seriously saying that about themselves. And then you trigger, together with the artist, together with the scientist, me as a curator, my co-curator, Julia, and all the people involved, including the teachers. And we try to put those prejudices apart and tell the kids, you are smart, you are able to do anything. And, you know, you build that up. And then the result is the kids, they have much more self-esteem than at the beginning. They're actually amazed about their own creativity.
Yeah, it's
or
wonderful what
after
a
1 week, they don't. Excuse me?
I said it's wonderful what a little bit of encouragement can do.
Absolutely. And then also how they react, and that they are happy to have been making those drawings. They don't want us to go away. Do you come next week again? We love this workshop so much. And the teachers are surprised about this reaction. They said, we never saw our kids like this. So this, for us, it's not only lifting us up, obviously, but it shows us that the workshop or the project was really successful when the kids react like that.
Yeah, I imagine in smaller settings, the gratification is more instantaneous. But when you are looking at global scales, one has to evaluate on many fronts in order to get a better perspective of the effect one is having. Thank you. Something you wanted to say?
Yes, also collaborations, because you said on a global scale, what we see right now is that through real collaborations, success can be bigger. The more you work with other entities and where you exchange knowledge and experiences and where you have a broader visibility, you know, working with UN conferences, working with biennales right now, with the Vancouver Biennale, or with Manifesta in Marseille, we'll be part of their program as well, or with TVA 21 Academy and Ocean Space in Venice, and with other entities. The more you grow your network within your working, the more success you can have, because if you do something small at a small scale, it can be very impacting on a local level, but the more you bring this local level to a global level, you can have more visibility and get more people on board to reflect about a specific topic. So you have those two approaches or several approaches, and it's really important to speak about that as well.
I understand that you are starting a project dealing with the oceans in Bombay. Would you care to share something about that right now, or is that?
Yes, we were actually, just before the pandemic started, we were already discussing with Shazeb that we wanted to create a We Are Ocean Mumbai as part of the Mind of Nature, and invite a local artist from Mumbai to elaborate something similar as well, together with grassroots movements, local community groups, local fishermen, and get them on board to start a conversation and to show what is happening in Mumbai. Where are those groups who are still working with the ocean, for the ocean, and create something artistic, educational around that. So as soon as the pandemic is a little bit more under control and we can calculate or count a little bit better, when can we really do something physical in Mumbai in order to be able to start the virtual phase number 1 before that, and then enter into phase 2, which will be the on-site phase. We will launch it, and we already have an artist in mind with whom we want to work, and yes, so that's the idea.
Wonderful. I'll be looking out for that because I would love to be involved in some way. Okay, so there are 2 more questions. What is the most amazing learning that you have received or gained from the kids that you've been working with?
The most impacting learning, you said?
Yes.
Well, I think for me it was specifically important to really learn from the others. It's not so much about me as a curator expressing my ideas and showing the world how smart I am to be able to gather all those groups and stakeholders. But for me, the most impacting part was really to listen to the others. It can be from a 3-year-old boy in Gurgaon, close to Delhi, to maybe a participant of one of our panel discussions, who was like around 80 years old in Marseille, and learning from our scientists with whom we are working. All the scientific knowledge I gained through personal conversations, but then also to see what the kids have in mind. And sometimes their thoughts are so dark, I never had imagined that. So I learned that there's a lot of fear which you can transform into something more positive. And I think that's the most important thing, to see the amazement of young people through something like that. You really see that you can do something, you can move
you can give them hope, because they're having dark thoughts that's very like leaning towards apathy and inaction, but if you can give them like a glimmer of hope, then it definitely encourages them to act.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
And this is something which the media has created as well. When you see that the kids, they are connected to the internet actually constantly, no matter where they are, and you see how much they are brainwashed with those dark images. Everything is terrible, you cannot do nothing anymore. And then you turn it around, you show them the facts. Of course, there are scientific facts which we cannot deny, but you show them also what we can do in order to everybody make it better. And that's amazing. That's really when you see a change happening.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay, so our last question is, just wanted to know what your opinion on young activists, what do you feel about, for example, Greta Thunberg, and activists of her age and caliber, like what is your opinion on that?
I think they are agents for change, and it was really important that something like this, like a huge global movement, was created. What happened in those last years, obviously, was that a lot of those groups or people like Greta, they were instrumentalized, they were used as a target to be fought. And we also know that this comes very often from white supremacists and, to fight an idea which is really important. We need to talk about that. And if the young people, and it doesn't matter if they are young, privileged people from bourgeois backgrounds in Berlin or in Stockholm, it doesn't matter. We all have to protest. And even if she's a young white girl from Stockholm coming from a privileged family, who cares? If more people march with her, if people from all the different levels of society or backgrounds of society are sensitized and they understand what's going on and they all come together and they protest, I think this is important, it's amazing, and they should really keep on doing that.
That's great. Thank you so much. And okay, that's the time we have for today. I I'll end the meeting. Thank you so much.